Okay, BA, it's showtime.
Welcome back to the man cave. Sorry it took so long to get this part done, but sometimes life just gets in the way. We're going to be taking a closer look at the targets and what the various test rounds did as far as their pattern, size, and shape, and see what we can learn about each of these test loads. So we'll be starting with the first one, which is the Rio Royal buck. Okay, our first 25-yard pattern is from the Rio Royal buck, which is here. This is a 9-pellet load. I counted 8 pellets in the pattern. This one here I marked as a stray. It may or may not have been the 9th pellet, but I wasn't sure, so I didn't count it as part of the main pattern. As you can see, it's a pretty large pattern, and I only counted 8 pellets in the pattern. Now this pattern is about 15 inches by 12 inches, and I'm not real impressed with that. I think for self-defense purposes, this is much too spread out a load, and the pellets are very, very spread out. They're not concentrated at all, and so you can see there's a real large area in the pattern where it could completely miss the bad guy. So that won't be my choice for home defense. The next one we're going to look at is the Hornady tap. Okay, now we'll look at the Hornady tap here. The Hornady tap is an 8-pellet load at 1,600 feet per second. Now, as you can see, this was a much better pattern. We got all 8 pellets inside the pattern, and the pattern measures about 8 inches by 10 inches, with half of the pellets, 4 of the pellets, being concentrated in a area that's 6 inches by 4 inches. So that's a much better load for self-defense as far as 25 yards goes. It's not the tightest pattern of the loads that we shot, but it is one of the better ones. So also keep in mind, these are patterns that are out of my particular shotgun, which has the 18.5-inch barrel, which is a short barrel, and it has a open cylinder bore choke, so it's not a lot of constriction, and therefore that's going to have an effect on the longer distance patterns. All right, we'll look at the next target. Okay, now on the next target, we're going to take a look at the Hornady critical defense. And to me, by far, this was the most impressive load of all the ones that we tested, as far as the size of the pattern and concentration of the pellets. Now the critical defense is another 9-pellet load, and all 9 pellets are within the pattern area. Now this had pretty much the smallest pattern of them all. All 9 pellets are within an area that is approximately 8 inches by 14 inches, and with at least 5 of the pellets within a 5-inch by 5-inch area. So this one is the one that I'm leaning towards carrying in my shotgun for home defense. You know, like I said, it's pretty much the smallest, or one of the smallest of the patterns. Now the next one we'll look at will be the bottom target, which will be the Cellen Below. Okay, the Cellen Below, or S&B, it was a pretty decent pattern as well. I was actually more impressed with it than I thought it would be. One, it put its pellets into a 9-inch by 13-inch area, and they are spread out, but they're concentrated enough that I think they would be effective for home defense at a distance. Now, a really interesting thing that I can't explain about this particular pattern with the S&B is that according to the information, the S&B is a 9-pellet load, but somehow an extra pellet must have got loaded into this particular shell, because I counted 10 pellets in this pattern. Hey, free bonus. So the S&B is not a bad choice. All right, we'll move on to the next target. Okay, the next one is the Remington Law Enforcement low recoil load. It's a 9-pellet load, and I have to say I'm not terribly impressed with it. I only counted 7 pellets, so 2 pellets apparently went over or past the target, and it's pretty spread out for the 7 that are left. It's about a 12-inch by 11-inch area, and as you can see, the pellets are really spread out within the pattern. So that's not a load that I would recommend for any kind of distance for home defense. We'll look at the next one, which is going to be the Winchester PDX1, and unfortunately it's another load that I'm not impressed with. Alright, now we'll move on to the Winchester PDX1, and I must say that I'm very disappointed in this particular load. I had high hopes for it. This is the duplex load. It's the 1-ounce slug with the 3 double-aught buck pellets on top, and as I say, I had really had high hopes for this one, but the pattern ended up about 13 inches by 6 inches. You can see the slug here, but out of the 3 double-aught buck pellets, we only had 2 that even hit the cardboard, and all of it is very spread out. So while this might work just fine close up across the room distance, I wouldn't want to try to use it at any distance beyond that, and I have, because of this, I have eliminated it from my choices for home defense shotgun loads. Well, we'll move on to the next target. All right, now for the Zombie Max. Here's the Zombie. The Zombie Max, the pattern was not too bad. It's, in fact, it's pretty similar to the critical defense and the warranty tap. And in fact, I'll do a side-by-side comparison of those 3 later. But this was an 8-pellet load. I only got 7 pellets on the target, based on the position of the furthest ones here and the one here that took out his eye. I'm guessing that the 8th pellet went somewhere in here. So it's a 9-inch by 9-inch pattern, which isn't too bad. overall. And there again, in this case, 5 of the pellets actually ended up in a 5x5 area. So this is actually also one of the tighter loads. And so I would have no hesitation picking the Zombie Max as my home defense load. The next target we're going to do is the Federal Classic. Now we'll take a look at the Federal Classic. The Federal Classic actually impressed me more than I thought it would. It's a 9-pellet load, and it kept all 9 pellets within the pattern. The pattern is a 10-inch by 13-inch. And so that's not the biggest pattern of our loads. It's not the smallest. It's a good, but it's a pretty decent sized pattern. For not being any type of specialty home defense load like Critical Defense or Zombie Max or some of these others, I think it did pretty well. So this is another one that I probably wouldn't hesitate to pick for home defense. And I expect that I don't recall what I paid for the box I used, but I expect it probably less expensive than some of these other specialty rounds. All right, well, we'll get on to the next target. Now let's look at the final target. That would be the Federal Tactical No. 4 buck load. This is a 27 pellet load, and while the overall pattern here is pretty large, it's 22 inches by 17 inches, out of 27 pellets it kept 26 pellets inside the bad guy. So I don't think that the bad guy is going to miss that 27th pellet. Now while they are widely dispersed here, the one thing that impressed me more than I expected is the fact that out of the 26 pellets on the target, 16 of them remained within this 12-inch circle. That would be pretty devastating on a real human being. So, years ago, I used to carry No. 4 buck in my home defense shotgun because at that time that was the recommendation by all the gun magazine experts. And then later on they started leaning more towards No. 4 buck. I'm sorry, double-aught buck, and all the data started to show that double-aught buck was the most effective. So that's why I switched to that. Because of this, I am going to do some more testing, and I'm going to do some more research into the stopping power information that's out there. And I may have to reconsider the double-aught buck versus No. 4 buck question. All right, that's pretty much all the targets. Now we'll do a side-by-side comparison of the Zombie Max, the Hornady Tap, and the Hornady Critical Defense. Now I just want to do a quick side-by-side comparison between the Hornady Critical Defense and the Hornady Zombie Max loads. These two loads gave what I believe were the tightest, probably most effective patterns at this distance of all those rounds that I tested. The interesting thing was that in both cases, 5 out of the 8 in the case of the Critical Defense, or I'm sorry, the 9 pellets, and the 8 pellets of the Zombie Max. 5 of the pellets on each of these loads landed within a 5" by 5" area, which I think makes them, they're pretty close loads. Now, in my opinion, the critical defense here was the most impressive of all of the rounds, and that's what's going to be residing in my home defense shotgun. I will say that the S&B and the Federal Classic also turned in pretty decent results, and I wouldn't hesitate to use either one of those either. Well, that's it for our target analysis. I hope this information has helped you. Hope that gives you information you can use to choose what you'll use in your shotgun for home defense. I do encourage you to whatever loads you're considering to take a box of each out and test them out of your own personal shotgun to see how they perform, because your results may differ greatly from mine. Okay, that's it for this 25-yard buckshot test series. I hope that you liked it, and if you did, I hope you'll tell me. If you didn't like it, I hope you'll tell me why. Please subscribe if you haven't already, and I hope that you'll send your friends over to my channel and see if they find something they like, and hopefully they'll subscribe. Stay tuned. I've got more projects and videos that I'm working on now that I think you'll find interesting. So until then, good night.
It's time to quit jammering before I start hammering.